Soviet Famine of 1932 to 1933. The Tragic Tapestry of Hunger. 1. Introduction. In the bleak landscape of the early 1930s Soviet Union, a catastrophic famine unfolded, most acutely in Ukraine, but also affecting parts of Northern Caucasus, Volga Region, and Kazakhstan. This devastating famine of 1932 to 1933, often referred to in Ukraine as the Holodomor, was a tragedy marked by immense human suffering and significant political implications. 2. Causes of the famine. Forced collectivization. One of the primary causes was Stalin's policy of forced collectivization, which aimed to consolidate individual landholdings into collective farms. This disruptive transition devastated agricultural productivity. Confiscation of grain. The Soviet government's policy of procuring grain at fixed, low prices, coupled with the seizure of grain to meet unrealistic state quotas, left little for the rural population. Breakdown of agricultural systems. The collectivization process, often executed with brutality and disregard for agrarian expertise, led to a breakdown in traditional farming practices. 3. The scale of the catastrophe. Widespread starvation. The famine resulted in the death of millions of people. The exact number remains a subject of historical debate, but is estimated to be in the range of several millions. Devastation in Ukraine. Ukraine, known as the breadbasket of Europe, was disproportionately affected. The famine decimated entire villages and led to widespread malnutrition and death. Ivor. Political and social consequences. Suppression of Ukrainian nationalism. Some historians argue that the famine was used as a tool by Stalin to suppress Ukrainian nationalism and resistance to Soviet policies. International response. The Soviet government's denial of the famine and restrictions on international aid exacerbated the situation. The international community's response was limited, partly due to global political tensions and the Soviet Union's isolation. V. The famine's aftermath. Long-term impact on affected regions. The famine left a deep scar on the affected regions, altering their demographic, social, and economic landscapes. Legacy in Soviet and post-Soviet history. The famine remains a contentious and painful chapter in Soviet and post-Soviet history, particularly in Ukraine, where it is commemorated as a national tragedy. 6. Recognition and historical debate. Recognition as genocide. Ukraine and several other countries have recognized the Holodomor as a genocide. However, this characterization is debated among historians. Continued historical research. Ongoing research into the famine continues to uncover its causes, scale, and impact, contributing to a more comprehensive understanding of this dark period in Soviet history. The Soviet famine of 1932 to 1933 stands as a harrowing testament to the consequences of political policy on human lives. Its legacy, mired in suffering and controversy, continues to resonate in historical discourse, serving as a stark reminder of the fragile balance between government policy and human welfare.